Welcome to Heat Up Your Retreats with Amanda Hietter.
Have you ever had a big idea, but wondered if it was actually possible or if you were just crazy enough to try? Because the truth is, every successful retreat, every thriving business, and every movement starts with someone brave enough to say yes before they feel ready. Welcome to Heat Up Your Retreats, the podcast where we help leaders, entrepreneurs, and visionaries turn bold ideas into transformational experiences that change lives, including their own. I am your host, Amanda, and today's episode is for the dreamers who are ready to take action. Joining me today is Mary Scott, a startup advisor, entrepreneur, and someone who has helped countless founders move from stuck to uncertain to clear, confident, and moving forward. Through her work supporting entrepreneurs and creating opportunities for collaboration and growth, she has seen firsthand what separates the people who launch from the people who stay stuck. And today, we're going to go ahead and pull back the curtain on what it really takes to move from vision to reality. So grab your coffee, lean in, and let's heat up your retreats and your business with today's conversation. Welcome, Mary. I'm so excited that you're here today.
I'm excited to share things with your listeners.
I am too. I know you are going to have some good nuggets to share with everybody. So I want to just dive right in. Mary, you have worked with entrepreneurs at the very beginning stages. What is the biggest mindset mistake that you see people making before they ever even launch?
The biggest mistake is thinking that you have it cold, you know it all, and you can do it by yourself. No to all of that. People need to be passionate about their idea, but they need to wonder if anybody else thinks the same way. And they need to actually do some research, whether it's Google searches or talking to people. Is this really a good idea? Is this a problem for you? Is it a big enough problem for you that you would pay to have somebody solve it? Can I talk to you about how I might solve it? And kind of go from there. Because if you're not coachable, and if you don't validate your idea, you have zero chance of actually succeeding.
100%. That's some good stuff there. We all need help when we're getting started. And I know I struggle with that because I'm a control freak and love to try to do everything on my own. And I know this stems all the way back to my childhood of where doing a school project and someone fails on doing their side. And then you're like, well, I'm just going to do it all by myself because I know I'm going to do it the best way possible. But that's not always true. And that's where people like you and I come into play to help make sure that they're successful, right?
Sure. And wanting to do it all yourself, wanting to learn how to do stuff you don't know how to do is always good. But if you learn enough to be able to hire someone who's a real expert, that's where you actually get the best bang for your buck. I took a class in how to tune a car. Not because I wanted to do my own auto mechanics, but because I wanted to be able to talk to auto mechanics.
Mm.
So, yeah, learning how to delegate. And those mistakes that cost you money, that's tuition.
100%. Yep. You are right. And I love that you did that. That's so cool that you took a class so that one, you know a little bit about your car, and two, you're able to have that conversation with the mechanic where you have a little bit of knowledge of the different parts that operate in your car and the maintenance that needs to be done. So I'm like, maybe I need to do something like that. I love that idea. That's so cool. So you have helped so many founders move from idea to execution. What separates the people who actually move forward from the ones who stay stuck?
Passion and determination. and a little bit of fearlessness. The people who stay stuck are people who are so concerned about losing money that they're not prepared to spend some to make some.
Mm,
And the people who are so afraid of failure the first time that they tweak and tweak and tweak, and the project never actually gets off the ground. The people who succeed are the ones that sort of validated their idea and then jumped in and sent something out there to find out just what the reactions were and built on that. And the people who just put out enough of a small run of product and to get it all sold and see how the market really works. And then branched out from there. So they didn't hit the ground running with 15 different choices for a customer. You start small, you build, you validate along the way, you learn along the way, and those are the folks who are really successful. Most of the time, particularly with tech startups, those tweaks in coding are something that's fun for the person doing it. It's not necessary to make more money.
mm, yeah, so true. Mm. So you've created spaces where entrepreneurs get feedback and support. Why do you think community is so critical for growth, especially for founders who feel like they're alone?
Well, you're going to have more than one personality in your space. You're going to have communities are full of diverse ideas. And just because I don't need your product or service doesn't mean that it isn't good. So when I give people the opportunity to pitch to a room full of different folks, different ages, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different industries, it's amazing what kind of perspective and feedback that you can get that can really shift your attitude towards something or your approach to something or your priority list. And that feedback is affirmative. It's positive. It's growth inducing.
Mm, yeah. I always think it's so important to be a part of a community, especially with me being a founder of a business, like either a mastermind or a networking group or just some kind of community for you to bounce ideas off of. Because I work in an office that I'm in a bedroom all by myself all day, every day. And I hop on Zoom calls, but it's not the same as like having that like one-on-one time. And so I always like to find something local where I can actually like rub elbows with people and just talk to them. And it's honestly how you and I got connected because we're both local to each other. And it's just so important because you don't feel like you're alone when you have those people there by your side that's like, hey, I've done that. I've been through that. Here's what I did to get through like that deep valley that maybe you're in, or that something that you just can't like knock, you can't hit through, like that wall that just feels like it's stuck. So I love that you are constantly helping others feel like they're not alone in that. And that's amazing. It's amazing.
And sometimes it's important to just get out of your own head and just go someplace where there's other people and you get a chance to talk about fun stuff or unimportant stuff. Because one of the biggest problems with working all by yourself is that you end up being under a lot of stress and you cannot make good, clean decisions when you're under stress. So you need to have
Mm-hmm.
some self-care time. And it's good for your business to be out of your business from time to time. I remember when I was doing my video production business and I was, editing furiously until 11, 12 o'clock at night. And my husband calls down the stairs, "You need to join a union. You need to have a less tyrannical boss." And even if you're working from home, I tell people, have office hours. Seriously. Have a place where your work is and a door. And at a certain time of day, you leave and that door closes and you need to go be yourself, not your business.
Mm.
And that's a key to sanity for a lot of people.
100%. Girl, I feel like you're talking directly to me because that's hitting home. Being someone that doesn't have a spouse where I can rely on another income and like doing this full time, I always have this thought of like, well, if I'm not working, I'm not making money. And so there are times where I feel like I'm working 12, 14, 16-hour days. And that's just ridiculous because then we're not getting time with our family. We're not getting time for ourselves. We get burned out so much quicker. And it's so important to close that door. I'm actually going to use that. Thanks, Mary. I'm like actually
It's,
literally closing the door.
exactly. It's those physical things, and you need to, your productivity does not improve after hour 10.
For some
So,
reason, I seem to think it does.
and the older you get, the sooner that happens. So by the time you're
Hmm.
50, it doesn't improve after hour 8.
Wow. Okay.
So you really need to pace yourself and understand that if you're that concerned about making money by your own labor, you need to start thinking about things you can do for passive income.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
100%.
so yeah, because there's only so many hours in a day, and there's only so many hours in your life, and
Yeah.
you need to enjoy them.
Mhm. Yes, 100%. And as you're talking about that, that actually just jogged my memory of a little like TikTok that I saw yesterday. I think it was on LinkedIn. They always have like the business focused ones. And it showed a timeline of like from age 0 to 100. And then it said, okay, you start working about here. And that was between like 10 and 20, which is like 16, 15. And then it said, you stop working here, which was like right before 70, like 65 to 67. They're like, all of that time you're working. And a lot of people base their lives of, okay, I'm just going to get to Friday and then the weekend's here. And then I can, have some time to myself and enjoy and relax. And oh, when I retire, I'm going to get to travel and do all these things I've dreamed of. But most of our life is right there in that bulk. That's like decades of our life. If we don't enjoy what we're doing, and if we're not actually making sure to spend time on our family and on ourselves, all that time is going to go by and you're going to have so many regrets. So, Mary, like I am so taking that idea of closing my office door when I leave because there's so many times I walk back in here and be like, oh, let me just like real quick open up my computer and do this and that. And then I'm here for another 2 hours.
Yeah, the concession is you can have a little notepad next to the TV where you can write down what you plan to do tomorrow, but you
I've
can't
done
go
that.
do any of it.
Right. 100%. I actually have a notepad that I keep by my bed because I don't know about you. When I lay down, obviously all the outside noise is gone and then your mind just starts going and turning. And as an entrepreneur, there's always things to do. It's never ending. So I'll just turn back on my light, write everything down, and then I can easily fall asleep. I've noticed that if I don't write it down, my brain just continues to go and go and go. And it's just a way of saying, if you're going to forget this, let me remind you 500 more times.
Yeah, that's called a brain dump. There are a lot of people that advocate that, and it's often in the context of before you even get to your bedroom, spend 15 minutes quiet, turn all your electronics off, and just write down everything you think you need to do or remember for the next day. And anything that doesn't make the list isn't important.
Mm, so true.
And, the things that become important will make the list eventually.
Yeah.
But that idea of doing a brain dump and then do not sleep in the same room as your phone.
Yeah. I haven't quite learned that one yet.
Oh man, that's a big one for people. But that's also learning to not be a control freak. Those are some of the baby steps to being able to let things go. And
Hmm.
just there's more than one right way to do something. There's more than one approach to anything. There's more than one good idea to solve every problem.
Yes. You're so right. You're so right. You are dropping all kinds of nuggets of wisdom today, Mary. I love it. Okay, so after you have seen so many pitches and so many startup journeys, what patterns do you notice in the businesses that actually are gaining momentum?
I notice that they do a lot of listening
Yes.
and they don't take everybody's advice. They follow their own instincts. And yeah, mostly doing a lot of listening and proceeding methodically. They're not just jumping at the next shiny thing.
And that is easy to do in this day and age with having our phones and computers and everything all linked together. I mean, I have Apple products. So you got the MacBook Air, then you've got the iPhone, and you got the iPad, and you have your Apple Watch, and it's all interlinked together. So it's like get things done right away. And sometimes I just need to like step back and take a breath because it's so easy to just quickly respond to everything. And that shiny object syndrome is real because you will see like Bitcoin is a huge thing. It's been a huge thing now for years, but so many people are jumping on that. But one thing I've had to remind myself is just because something looks amazing and it looks like it's going to help bring in money doesn't mean it's going to be easy because I have built this business, been doing this now for over 5 years. And yeah, I thought it was going to be easy in the beginning, but it was not. It took a lot of work, a lot of just not quitting on the hard days, and just the momentum that I had to create behind it. And so, I guess my advice to the listeners today, that shiny object syndrome, try to stay focused on the one thing you're trying to do. If you're feeling called to host a retreat, an event, or a summit, and you hear about all these other things that might be beneficial, focus on that one thing that is going to help propel you to get this actually come to life, come to vision. Don't be like, oh, well, I could do this other side business to help fund this. Stay focused on one thing. Stay focused on one thing at a
Stay
time.
focused on the one thing. And if you wanted to start something new that you didn't have experience with, find somebody who's in the business, buy them lunch and follow them around for a day. Or
Mm.
go be an apprentice in their business for a certain amount of time. Because particularly when you get that shiny object, oh, I want to own one of these, particularly franchise buyers need to go work in one of the franchises for like 6 months before they really understand what else is going to happen when they own it themselves.
100%.
So I always tell students, you think you want to be a corporate attorney, go buy one lunch and follow them around for a day and be sure.
I wish I would have done that with my previous position before the one I'm in now with owning a business and being a travel agent. I really thought I wanted to be a paralegal. Now, mind you, I'm grateful for the experience because now I can read contracts for big group blocks and all of these things and like know what to pick out easily, but it was not something I loved. I looked at it. Any of you have seen that movie, Aaron Brockovich? It's like, it really makes it look like being a paralegal is so cool. You could change the world, but that she's like one in a million, right? So the average paralegal, we're just doing the wind and grind, and the grind is real. If I would have shadowed somebody for a little bit longer than what I did, because obviously I did some internships, but it wasn't actually shadowing someone. It was like, hey, here's some tasks, go in this other room and do them. I wasn't literally sitting and watching what they were doing. And if I would have done that, I probably would have been like, well, I don't think this is for me, but I didn't. So I love that you say that. And in this day and age where so many people are just hopping into college and they have no idea what they're doing, I really wish we would go back to those times. If you think about like in the 1900s, the early 1900s, apprenticeships were normal for people to do. And even in the 1800s and before that, I just always question, why did that become not a thing anymore? And we could be diving down some conspiracy theories and that, but we're not going to go into that today. But I just
Well,
think that's so key.
I learned a valuable lesson from my daughter. She was in college and she was like the youngest person in the class and taking all these courses. And she was told, okay, you have this many credits, you have to pick a major. And what she did was she went and interviewed the head of the department of every science in college and
Wow.
asked them, what can you do for me? If I pick
Mm.
this major, what do I get out of it? And, that just stunned me that she would do that, that those are the kinds of questions that she would ask. And it makes so much sense if you're picking a place you're going to go in your life to find somebody in that industry, in that space, and find out what's really in it for you if you decide to go and pursue that.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's a
she is
cool
now
thing.
doing medical bioinformatics at a big medical school and curing cancer.
Wow, I love that. She's very driven like her mom. Makes total sense.
I'm stunned and thrilled and delighted that she has exceeded me in so many ways.
Isn't that what we always wish for in our children? I love that. So, a lot of my listeners, as you know, they're retreat leaders or they're service based entrepreneurs who are creating experiences. What advice would you give someone trying to package their expertise into something that's bigger?
Ask the people that you've helped already what they like about you. What did
Hmm.
they get out of their experience? Because that's where your best marketing material is going to come from, are their answers. Because what you think of how you did doesn't matter so much as what your customers think of how you did.
100%. One thing when I am talking with retreat leaders and having that discovery call with them of what is their why are they wanting to do what they're doing, where do they want to go, etc. I always ask them, have you reached out to your community that you are working with on what it is they want to experience or where they want to go or when they want to go? And 95% of the time, the answer is no. And I have to remind them that yes, this was their idea. They have a vision behind this, but this is not for them. This is for their clients. This is for their customers, for the people that are going to be going to this event, retreat, summit, whatever it might be. So it's so key, like you said, to ask what it is that they like about you, what it is that they want, so that when it comes to time where you're actually starting to promote this event, retreat, summit, whatever it might be, those people you've asked are like, heck yeah, I'm in because this is what I wanted. And you're providing that experience for me. So that's key, friends. So key. Don't make it about yourself, make it about the people.
Exactly. The profit is in the follow-up.
Hmm. Yes, 100%, because follow up can be difficult sometimes. I sometimes feel like I'm bugging people when I continue to follow up, but people are busy and they forget.
And you just ask one or two questions. Don't ever ask somebody to fill out a survey, or if you have to do a survey, 5 questions tops, and make it multiple choice or
Mm,
sliding scale. Make it real easy for someone to because you want to know their first impressions.
yeah, you do. Okay, Mary, if someone listening today has a big idea, but fear is holding them back, what would you tell them to do this week so that they can start moving forward?
Well, they could certainly book a 15-minute call with me, which doesn't cost anything, at businessroof.com. But if fear is holding you back, ask yourself, what are you afraid of? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? And if that doesn't happen, what's the second worst thing that's going to happen? And if that doesn't happen, you end up breaking down what it is you're really afraid of. And if it's not going to kill you and it's not going to hurt you, you got nothing to lose and you got experience to gain, even if it doesn't work out the way you expect it to. Like I said, if it costs you money, that's tuition. So you've still learned something.
Yeah.
And getting past the fear and thinking about how wonderful you will feel when it works.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a friend who was born angry and whenever something comes up, the first thing she thinks about are all the things that can go wrong. And this is an important member of society. People like this help us to not get into dangerous situations and help us see other things that maybe we aren't prepared to see. However, for themselves, once they've seen all that bad possibilities, they need to keep looking and then go see whatever good things could happen so that you get some kind of balance there. And that's another good way to overcome the fear.
Yeah. It can be so scary to start a business or to speak publicly, host an event, whatever it might be. I always say this, and this is a saying that someone created a long time ago, but good things never happen inside your comfort zone. They really don't. I mean,
That's
yeah, it can be wonderful just like sitting here, but it's not like the best things that can happen. If I wouldn't have started this business, I wouldn't be able to touch so many lives and be able to connect with so many amazing people like you, Mary, if I
yeah.
would have just stayed in that paralegal position. But I went ahead and said, okay, we're going to do this. It was scary, but I would have it no other way. And I look back at my life, how it was 2 years ago when I was working a corporate job and trying to run a business and doing all the things. And now I have this freedom of time. My life is just so much more relaxed. I'm not like constantly like this all the time because it was stressful being a paralegal, very stressful. I always say, just say yes and see what happens.
Just say yes and see what happens. Life, it has a balance, but in order to get to a balance, you have to have some highs and some lows, and then
Yep.
they come back. And if you're okay with, I'll be thrilled at the highs and I'll be disappointed at the lows, but I'm not going to dwell on either of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the Buddhists talk about achieving enlightenment.
Yep.
As you notice it, you appreciate it or cope with it at the time, and you let it go.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. So good. So many good nuggets today. Mary, I want to say thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today with the audience. I know our listeners are walking away with some practical insights and a bigger perspective on what it takes to bring ideas to life. If today's episode encouraged you, challenged you, or even gave you clarity, make sure that you share this episode with someone who needs it. And if you're a leader, a coach, or an entrepreneur thinking about hosting a retreat or creating transformational experiences for your audience, that's exactly what we talk about here on Heat Up Your Retreats. Until next time, keep dreaming big, take bold action, and go heat up your retreats. Bye, friends. Be sure to follow, share, and leave a review so more leaders like you can heat things up too. Until next time, keep dreaming big, keep planning bold, and keep heating up your retreat.